Hi there, this is Dave from HeartSpace, where we are creating videos every single day to help you live life in your way. And I want to go over why it is very advantageous, why it will serve you to celebrate negative events in your life. And you must be thinking immediately when hearing that, unless you know what I'm going to say, you already know the answer, that why would I celebrate negative events in my life? What is good about the so-called negative events, the things that supposedly put me in suffering, the things that I don't want in my life? Why would I celebrate that? Well, there's a very important reason why. We go over on this channel all the time that like attracts like, that what you transmit is what you will receive, that the energy you are in, what you're doing within the inner world, is what will be reflected in your outer world. Your outer world is always a reflection of the inner. It is always a reflection of the decisions that you have been making, of what you've been thinking, of what you've been saying, of what you've been doing, and most importantly, the energy of all of that. And so there's a few things to keep in mind when I'm talking about celebrating the bends in the river or celebrating these so-called negative events. The first thing is that you have to understand that even the word negative is a subjective projection, opinion, whatever we put on an event. Nothing in actuality is positive or negative. It is simply our subjective opinion that something is positive or negative. There is something you might consider negative that someone else would consider very positive. Does that mean you're right and they're wrong, or that they're right and you're wrong? No. It is just through our filters, through our conditioning, we look at things differently and perceive things differently. And so that's the first thing to understand, is these so-called negative things aren't necessarily negative. That is just a projection. And when you're tied into the story of that thing, it might be hard to think of it in a different way. It might be hard to see it as anything but negative. But let me continue, and we'll see if you change your mind by the end of this. And so what we have to understand is an event is just an event. An event is just an event. You don't actually know why that event is occurring. We do not live in a random universe where things are just happening coincidentally. Everything, for the most part, happens for a reason. And especially when it comes to your own life and your own manifestations and the things that are coming into your life, it is happening for a reason. And you may not know why it's coming in because you don't know what you don't know. You know, something will come in that maybe someone will perceive as negative, and they will curse it and they will go, why this? And they'll put their attention on it and they'll put so much resistance on this thing coming in that it'll keep coming in over and over and over again. For example, if you've ever seen someone, or maybe yourself, you've struggled with money in the past. This is a very common one. And people talk about all the time how they don't want to be in this and that and their money situations and how terrible it is. And they always seem to be in a cycle of struggling with money because they're putting all of this resistance on it. And so what we're going to do with celebrating the negative events is essentially we are doing a couple of things. We are going to flip this on its head. We are when celebrating the negative events, acknowledging that we don't know what we don't know. Because that negative event, might be the catalyst for huge change in your life if you were to embrace the event. Perhaps that negative event is simply making space for something massive to come in if you just allow and accept it. We don't know what we don't know. In my own life, so-called negative events that I would have at one point deemed as negative and gone like, oh, why is this happening to me, blah, 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 have resulted, after a little bit of time, in unbelievable things coming into my life or creating the space for something great to come in. And when you celebrate the negative events, what you end up doing is first acknowledging that that is the case. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know why this is happening. You are putting your faith in the universe by saying, I don't know why this is happening, but I know the universe has my back, because you're celebrating it. You're going like, great. And third, you are keeping your energy, like we mentioned earlier, in a very particular place. You are not allowing your external circumstances to affect your inner world. Remember, the external comes from the inner. It's inner to outer. What's going on in the inner will be reflected in the outer eventually through the quantum to Newtonian transition point, which we will talk about in a later video. Whatever's happening in here will be reflected out there. And so let's say things are going swimmingly because external things are going in the way you want them to go. And then an external thing happens, like an event happens, that you didn't want to have happen. And then you allow your energy, what would happen with you internally, inwardly, in your inner world, to be affected by an outside event. Well, now your energy, which was up here because all this good stuff in the external was happening, is now down here. And now you're down here cursing it. But the outer and inner is a reflection of the inner. And now your inner is down here. You are vibrating at this energy. And more things you don't want will come into your external if you stay there. But what happens if you're here, and you're here because inwardly you have worked on yourself, you've gone into your inner world, you're keeping yourself in a place of love and gratitude, happiness, joy, all of these things, that's your homeostasis right up here. Now, something that you would have once considered bad happens. You lose a lot of money in a thing. A relationship ends, whatever else it is. And instead of becoming like, oh, cursing this and cursing that because my external has changed, you go, great. I don't know why this is good. I don't know why this is happening. I don't know what I don't know. But I know that the universe has my back. I know that ultimately this is going to be a blessing, and in time it will reveal itself to be a blessing, and miracles are on their way. What have you done by celebrating instead of complaining? What you've done is kept your energy in this place. And at the quantum level, and ultimately at the Newtonian level, energy is everything, because everything you see around you is energy. Solidified. This behind me is energy. This shirt is energy. The camera that is recording this is energy. All of it is energy. And so, if you're down here, and you're allowing your external to continually influence you, and cause you to go up and down with your mood, you're going to have up and down things come in all the time. But however, if you celebrate the so-called negative events, and this doesn't mean if something very tragic happens, you can't grieve, you can't be sad. That's not what this means. This means essentially complaining, cursing, and all these different things about your external circumstances, whatever's coming in. And some people complain and curse very petty things, which just allows for more petty things to come in. Just allows for more things to complain about to come in. But if you instead celebrate the bends in the river, if you celebrate the so-called negative events and understand that you don't know what you don't know, that this could be coming in because it needs to make room for this massive, amazing thing that's going to change you in ways you can't even think of right now to come in, then you'll stop cursing them. And you'll know that everything is in divine plan and everything is going as it should. But when you curse it, you block these greater things from coming in, these things that you ultimately want. And so celebrate the bends. Again, I already gave you what I tend to say. I got this from Kevin Trudeau, where he says when those things come in, just go, great. And really mean it, get into it. Great. I don't know why this is good. You're admitting you don't know why. You're acknowledging, I don't know why. I don't know why all this money left, or I don't know why this thing's going so slowly and nothing's come in yet. I don't know why this person left my life. I don't know why, whatever it is. Because you're right, you don't know why. So you're acknowledging that. But you also know it doesn't matter. This is great. I don't know why this is coming in. I don't know what I don't know. But I know good things are on their way. I know that the universe has my back. I know that I'm a co-creative, divine, infinite being. It could be anything around this. Whatever allows your energy to stay up. And so I know this is a blessing and miracles are on their way. We're going to see a miracle sometime. I don't know when, but sometime we're going to see a miracle. And by doing that, finding something that you can believe, your mind can also buy into, and that phrase, my mind can buy into, my heart and mind can together be together in that. You keep your energy here, and you prevent it from going here. And when you celebrate those so-called negatives, you make it so that more and more of the so-called positives come in time and time again. So please, use that advice if it resonates with you. It's been very, very powerful in my life. It has kept me in that feeling good place so much with so many different things coming in since I've been doing this. And it will do the same for you if you allow it. So thank you so much for tuning into this video. I appreciate you as always. Remember that you're loved. Remember to celebrate the so-called negatives. An event is just an event. And I will see you in the next video.